Good morning. This is Marilyn Doucette, chef and owner of Meals from the Heart Cafe. Good morning, Luke. So, as promised, I am going to bring you through a session of cooking red beans and not rice because I'm not doing rice, but we'll do red beans. I'm just going to show you some basics. I have to have beans ready today for the cafe. And so let me just show you. Okay, you're not going to need a pot this size, right? It doesn't matter. This is a 20-ounce glass dish, and I measured my beans from this, using this container full of beans, kept my beans fresh, and my beans are now in the colander. Remember, you've got to wash your beans. Some beans will fall through, so you want to make sure that the holes aren't too big in your colander strainer. But you've got to wash them and switch them. I'm using one hand, but I usually use two hands to look at them, pick through them to ensure that I don't have any rocks. And if the bean looks a little bit too decayed and it comes to my view, then I will probably take it out and discard it. But I'm not going through every bean to see if it's not pretty, okay? Like people, we're all human. So my beans are rinsed. I'm sure of that. They're going into this very large pot. Yes, now I've got to get this big old pot on the stove. So it needs to go into the sink. All right. I'm not using broth. So I'm filling this pot up with, when you buy packaged red beans or black beans, I love black beans. For me, if I were just cooking for myself today, voila, camellia black beans. That's what we use in New Orleans. That's what we love. I would cook them pretty much the same way as I'm doing these, at least with the basics like onion, garlic, bell pepper, and celery. Those are the vegetables that would go in to flavoring the beans with other foods. And then, of course, a variety of spices, because I use a whole slew of spices, and you can't see it. I'm sorry, I am organized, but not today. But you see this cupboard, all of that, these are spices, and they won't last long because I cook often. So it may last me about, most of them about maybe 4 months. Yeah, so you can look at the date and make sure that your spices and whatever are not expired. Oh, shoot. Now, I'm filling up this pot with water. And generally, let me get a spoon. No. Remember, I said you can use a metal spoon in a metal pot. So I want you to see the depth of water. Can you see the depth of water in this pot? Well, usually this is 1 pound of beans. So usually the package is going to tell you usually 6 to 8 cups. Let's see what it tells me. In the directions here. Yeah. Oh, this one says black beans can be a little denser or harder than red beans. And so this says 8 to 10 cups of water. All right, so I would start off with 8 cups. And you can always add water as your beans thicken and start swelling in the pot. They'll rise. So you can always add more liquid. But if you put too much, you can't take it away to get creamy, thick beans. So less is more. Less is more. Right? What else did I want to say about beans? That's what happens when you're doing stuff on the fly. So I'm going to I'm going to leave the camera for a minute, Luke. And I'm going to sit my camera down. And right now, I'm going over to the sink, picking up this heavy ass pot. Okay, let's do a switch. Okay, so it's on the stove. All right. My burner doesn't always light. I'm gonna shift it to make sure I can. Come on, buddy. This is not gonna be a high enough flame. What's going on with you? All right. I think I'm gonna put it on the other side, the other burner. That boy gets very hot. Okay. So Luke, et al. That means and others. Okay, I buy better than bouillon from Whole Foods is where I get it. Costco's also sells better than bouillon. All right, that's a lot of salt for moi. So I don't necessarily use this. For the serving size is 1 teaspoon. In that 1 teaspoon, there's 670 milligrams of sodium. Anyone who is predisposed to hypertension, who has hypertension, you got to be really careful. So I know this is commercial cooking, but even then, we are heart healthy. So I am going to measure and keep track of how much of this bouillon I'm going to add to this pot. So when I complete the cooking process, what I do is I have 16-ounce cups that I will portion this big pot of beans into each cup. I will know how much sodium was added to it, so I'll do the math and divide it out to determine how much each cup may have within. I think that's how you do that. So nutritionists out there, how do you measure the sodium in a pot? And for instance, if it's 670 milligrams in a teaspoon, and let's say that you're using 10 teaspoons, 3, 6, 9, that would be 3 tablespoons, right? So, wow. So, but anyway, 10 times 600, you do the math, that's like 16,000 plus. And divide that by, I'll get about 45 units out of this pot, maybe 50. So I would divide that 50 by that 16,000 to determine how much salt. Okay, might be too much information. Come on, I'll overdo it. But anyway, so this pot is on the stove, bam, 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 and it's gonna cook for about 3 or 4 hours. It's 7:25 in the morning. I don't want to spend my whole day in the kitchen. All right, Luke, you don't either. So you can get up early in the morning when you don't have to dash out, or late at night when you don't have to dash out, if you're going to be up for the duration of the process. And you can put your pot on the stove. You can put it on a lower fire, and you've got to cover it till it comes to starts boiling. But you're going to stir this big pot of beans, or your small pot of beans. You're going to stir those beans regularly and often, because you want to keep everything moving and you want it to cook evenly, and so you don't want them to stick, right? So you're going to stir, stir, stir. Now, in this video, I won't be chopping onions, bell peppers, or garlic. Why? Because I already have it. I'm sorry, but I do. So let me let you see what I have for this monster of a pot. I think I took some. Oh, most people here do not use tomatoes in their beans, but guess what? They love my beans. This is fresh tomatoes that I cut up and blended. Remember, I told you in the first video, you need to have your tools. See above me? Yeah, above me. There you go. Do you see up there above me? That's my food processor. I juiced this. Actually, I just blended it. So I have this, and it's gonna just add, like, it's gonna replace some water. It's gonna be really good. So that's gonna go in there. It can even go in there frozen, but I'm not doing that. All right. This is what we do at the restaurant as well. You see all these garlics in a bag? You can do this too. Just because if you're a home cook doesn't mean that you can't prepare vegetables and seasoning, and I think I told you that in the first video too. So let me just put this down for a minute because we can't have too long of a video. See all these little packages, whatever, they're marked. Bam. I don't know if you can see the date. It's all scrunchy. Let's get it together. Marked and dated what it is, celery, and a date that I placed it in the freezer. So all these little bags, hey, if you don't really want to do a whole lot of prep work, you do it in advance, and you don't have to do all the chopping and cutting and whatever. Look at that, look at that. You can go to a restaurant supply store. I recycle these. So I am big on recycling, big on recycling. This pot is so large. These are 4 ounces. I'm gonna use 8, maybe 12 ounces of garlic in that pot. But remember, this is like 10 pounds of beans, so figure it out, 10 pounds of beans. If you were only doing 1 pound of beans, you probably could use the whole 4 ounces of garlic because it's minced and it's just tempted to throw it all in. Ain't gonna hurt, it's good for your heart. Or you can just use half. You will learn how much of what you need in your pot later. If you use half, you're still gonna have great beans. If you use the whole container, you're gonna have really garlicky beans, and that garlic is good. You never go wrong with garlic, right? So I think this is celery, and I'm not gonna, I may use all that celery. I also have bell pepper cut up, I think. Let me see. Yeah, this is red bell pepper. This is green bell pepper. I'm gonna use all the red, and I may use all the green too, but you can measure it. So this is a quart size bag, and it's not full to the brim, right? Okay, finally, this is onion. So you're using onions, bell pepper, garlic, and celery. And I will show you in a second part to this how saute it before I actually add it to the pot. But this pot's gonna cook for at least 2.5 hours before I add the vegetables, because I want it to come to a rolling boil, and then I will come back and just show you, I'll measure it for 1 pound so that you know just about how much what 1 pound looks like. I'll put it on the cutting board, and you or in the skillet, whatever, and you'll get an idea. All right, Luke James, red beans and rice, vegan style, no meat, no pork, no fat. This is gonna be a really healthy pot of beans. Now, my beans are usually organic, and I don't know. And once you open this, read labels. You've got to refrigerate it. Until you open it, you can put it in the cupboard. But once you open it, you've got to refrigerate it. Don't put stuff in the, don't use things and you don't read it. I don't have and this is by the way, this is no chicken based organic vegetables, and ingredients. Let's see. I don't want to tell you anything wrong. 1 teaspoon equals organic vegetable, no chicken base. So what's in here: vegetables and concentrated vegetable juices, carrots, etc., etc., etc. As far as I'm concerned, it's vegan. There aren't any animal products in this container that they identify. That's about the best I can give you. If you were using vegetable broth, they come in, this is chicken stock, but we're talking vegan, so of course I'm not using this. But you can get containers like this instead of this. You still want to read the label just to determine, all of what's going into your food. You want to just be knowledgeable of what's going into your food. So Thank you. Luke, I hope that said something to you, taught you a little something, something. I will show you when I come back how to handle the seasoning to get it savory. Bye.